Hello, my name is Anneshia Freeman. I'm also known as the locksmith because I make keys for locks in the mind. I'm a master's level therapist, and my specialty is cognitive restructuring, meaning I specialize in exposing and challenging dysfunctional, unconscious beliefs that make decisions for people without their conscious awareness. I also provide people with tools, real tools to help them reprogram their minds with functional beliefs. Welcome to episode 1 in my Facebook and YouTube live series entitled Healing from a Trauma-Based Belief System. There's 4 episodes in this series, and they will be I will go live rather every Tuesday from 12 o'clock p.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, whenever you hear me use certain terms, as I use those terms interchangeably, I'm talking about the same thing. So when you hear me use the terms lies, issues, unaddressed issues, and the buttons people push, I'm referring to dysfunctional, unconscious, often trauma based beliefs that make decisions for people without their conscious awareness. So, for episode 1, the topic is trauma based beliefs that affect people's relationship with themselves. So there are a lot of trauma-based beliefs. I've been doing cognitive restructuring on the unconscious level for over 20 years, more like 21 years. And over those years, I've created a database that has hundreds of dysfunctional unconscious beliefs, and a lot of them are trauma-based. In fact, the majority of them were implanted into people's mind during the formative years via trauma. The brain is developed, the mind is programmed. The mind is programmed during those critical foundation years by how a person is treated and by what a person observes. And so today we're going to talk about some trauma based beliefs that affect how people communicate with themselves, how they feel about themselves. Next week, at episode 2, I will talk about how certain trauma based beliefs affect people's relationships with others. Week 3, I'll talk about efficacy and learning trauma based beliefs that affect how people feel about their ability to get things done, to accomplish goals, or to learn. Week 4, I'm going to talk about some trauma-based beliefs that keep people stuck in poverty. So let's start with the 3 that I'm going to cover today. So today, the trauma-based beliefs that I'm going to talk about are: there is something wrong with you. Compared to others, you come up short. And you have to compensate for your presence with goods and services. All of these beliefs, these trauma-based beliefs, are unconscious. Most people who struggle with the lie, there is something wrong with you, they wouldn't walk into a room and say, "Good morning, I think there's something wrong with me." These are unconscious beliefs, trauma-based beliefs that affect people's internal dialogue. But a lot of that dialogue is unconscious, and we will talk about that dialogue shortly. The same with this lie, this trauma-based belief: compared to others, you come up short. People who are afflicted by this lie, they wouldn't walk into a room and say, "Hello, I'm comparing myself to everyone in this room, and it's a good chance I'm going to come up short." The belief is unconscious. It's running in the background like the operating system on this computer. And the same with this belief that says you have to compensate for your presence with goods and services. It's unconscious. And I call it the therefore factor. This is one of the therefore factor beliefs. Now, all of these beliefs, and I'll talk about how they are implanted, can be implanted into a person's mind directly, but some beliefs act as a landing pad that flags in other beliefs. So if a person has already been programmed with the lie, "There is something wrong with you," and the lie, "Compared to others, you come up short," then Therefore, you have to compensate for your presence with goods and services. And like I said, they're lies. You don't have to. You don't have to pay people for the right to exist in their presence. So let's start with the lie, there's something wrong with you, and talk about how this lie can be implanted into a person's mind during the formative years. So if a child is raised in an environment where they're constantly told there's something wrong with you, that's very direct. But sometimes children are in environments where someone says that over and over again. There's something wrong with you. You know, you're a little this, or you're that, or you're this. So the child, someone is directly telling the child that there's something wrong with them. That's one way that lie can be implanted, that trauma-based belief. Another way this lie can be implanted into a child's mind is if the child is being abused. So if the child is being abused, but the child is observing other people being treated with kindness and love and affection, but the child is being abused. So the child is being programmed to believe that there must be something wrong with them, you know, as opposed to other people, because it's not so much what the lie is saying. There's something wrong with you. That's not, it's what the lie is implying. This lie implies that the person who's afflicted by it is somehow tainted or defective in comparison to others. And so if a child overhears their parents or siblings or peers harshly critiquing them, talking negatively about them, then this lie can be implanted. So let's talk about the trauma-based belief compared to others you come up short, how it can be implanted into a person's mind during the formative years. So if a child is raised in an environment in which he or she is constantly compared to other people, why can't you be like your sister? Why can't you be like your cousin? Why can't you be like so-and-so's child down the street? And some people may say, well, you know, that doesn't sound like trauma. That is trauma. That is mental and emotional abuse. So the child is being programmed to believe that they're inadequate in comparison to other people. If the child hears people making comparison to the child and themselves when they were the child's age. So some parents will be like, you know, by the time when I was your age, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. So the child is being told, there's something wrong with you, and compared to others, you come up short. These beliefs are very similar. So one set of conditions that can implant this lie, there's something wrong with you, can also implant the lie, compared to others, you come up short. So if a child is raised in an environment in which he or she observes other people treating individuals kindly or spending time with others, but they don't treat the child in a kind manner, and they don't want to be bothered with the child. They'll tell the child, go in your room, leave me alone, go outside and play. So if the child is constantly in an environment where other people are being treated better than the child, then this lie finds its way into the child's mind. So let's talk about how the lie, you have to compensate for your presence with goods and services, can be implanted into a person's mind during the formative years. Now, I already mentioned the therefore factor, and that some trauma-based beliefs act as a landing pad that flags in other beliefs. So I'll mention it again before I talk about other ways that trauma-based belief can be programmed into a person's mind. So as I said before, if a child has already been programmed with the trauma-based belief, there is something wrong with you, and the belief, compared to others, you come up short, then it's a therefore factor. So there's something wrong with you, compared to others, you come up short. Therefore, you have to compensate for your presence with goods and services. What the lie is saying is that the people who are tolerating your presence could be with someone else. So you have to give them things or do things for them to compensate them for putting up with you. And all of these are lies. These are trauma-based beliefs, and they are also lies. They're also issues that follow people into their adult lives. So now we're going to talk about the internal dialogue, because that is the main way. Now, there's other ways that these trauma-based beliefs can affect people, but the topic today is how these trauma-based beliefs affect people's relationship with themselves. So in adulthood, remember, these beliefs were stored in people's unconscious mind during the formative years. And so in adulthood, these unconscious beliefs are running in the background in a person's mind, but the beliefs are producing a conversation. They have a conversation with the afflicted individual. So let's start with the lie, there is something wrong with you, and how it affects a person's internal dialogue. So the lie just doesn't say there's something wrong with you. The lie has a conversation. This trauma-based belief has a conversation with the afflicted individual. So the lie, there is something wrong with you, will tell the afflicted individual you are defective in comparison to others. You're somehow tainted. The lie will also tell the afflicted individual the things that are wrong with you are very different than what other people struggle with. Like, you are really different. And we're all mixtures of weaknesses and strengths, but the lie lies to the afflicted individual. So this trauma-based belief will also tell the afflicted individual you will be replaced when others encounter people who are not tainted like you. So it makes the afflicted person very insecure and jealous and envious, because they're afraid that their loved ones will find someone better than them, because the lie is having a conversation with them. It's affecting their relationship with themselves. This lie will also tell an individual you have to continuously do things to try to fix the parts of you that are broken, that are tainted. I'm not talking about personal development, which we all should do on a regular basis. This trauma-based belief will tell a person you have to buy this new thing, or get this new thing done, or buy this new thing so that people will accept you. This lie will also tell the afflicted individual you have to talk negatively. And this affects, this lie, trauma-based belief, can affect different people in various ways. So some people, the internal dialogue that I'm talking about is reflects how they talk to themselves unconsciously. For others, not all of this applies. But for some people who's afflicted by this trauma-based belief, the belief will say you have to talk negatively about others in order to draw attention away from you and the things that are wrong with you. This lie will tell people you have to pay people to tolerate you for short increments of time. If you don't, they will replace you with someone better. So now let's talk, and I will read the functional belief that challenges these trauma-based beliefs towards the end of this particular episode. So now let's talk about how this trauma-based belief, compared to others you come up short, will affect a person's internal dialogue, that affects their relationship with themselves, how they communicate, their intra-personal communication, how they communicate with themselves. So this lie will say you are in a contest with others and you're losing. Now, this lie will make people, and I laugh, not because the trauma-based beliefs are funny. I've had to heal from all of these and a lot more, but because once you become aware of these toxic beliefs in a person's, once the person becomes aware that they struggle with these beliefs, then they have power, because the beliefs are usually the opposite of how people logically, consciously think. So then you can laugh too when you're like, well, what the belief is saying to me is ridiculous. So you start getting free once you are aware of these beliefs. Their power has been in their unknown property. And so this lie, this trauma-based belief, will tell people who are afflicted that your value as a person is being determined by what others have and by what others do, and by what others don't have and by what others don't do. So there's a continual comparison going on. This lie has an algorithm built into it. This trauma-based belief operates on an algorithm. It will make the afflicted individual compare their weaknesses to other people's strengths. This trauma based belief will also make people who are afflicted ignore their own strengths and ignore other people's weaknesses. So, if that's the algorithm that the trauma based belief is using, of course, the person is going to feel like they're coming up short. So, this belief will tell the afflicted individual that you will be replaced by those who have more or do more than you. The trauma based belief will also tell the afflicted individual, you are a last resort choice. And whenever you are in the presence of someone who has more or can do more or who looks better than you, your replacement is imminent. You will be replaced. That's what the trauma based belief will tell the afflicted individual. This lie will also tell a person that their liabilities are being evaluated by people based on the assets of others. So, just like the lie uses the algorithm within the person, the lie will trick the afflicted individual into thinking that other people are evaluating them in the same manner, that other people are comparing their weaknesses to other people's strengths or to their own strengths. So, this trauma based belief will tell people you have to use the same measuring stick. Like you have to, people are judging you based on this and this and this, and that's how you have to evaluate yourself. This lie will tell a person there will always be someone better than you. So be prepared to be intimidated daily. And just based on the internal dialogue that I've covered so far for these two trauma-based beliefs, there is something wrong with you, and compared to others, you come up short. Can you see how these trauma-based beliefs can produce anxiety and depression in a person? Just imagine that kind of internal dialogue going on all day long, right? So now let's talk about give some examples of the internal dialogue this trauma-based belief will produce with the inside the afflicted individual. This lie is you have to compensate for your presence with goods and services. So this lie says there is something wrong with you that necessitates you pay people to put up with your horrible defects, right? So this lie, remember, is collaborating with these other lies. There's something wrong with you, therefore you have to compensate for your presence with goods and services. This lie collaborates with the other lie. Compared to others, you come up short, therefore you have to compensate for your presence with goods and services. Trauma-based beliefs like to hook up, they collaborate. So this lie will also tell the afflicted individual, people will leave you if you don't give them what they want or do things for them. The lie will say, you will be alone if you don't continuously give people things or do things for people. You have to always overextend yourself to the point of burnout. Thus saith the lie. This trauma-based belief will tell people that they are in a competition with people who have more resources, who can compensate for their presence better than they can, meaning that people who struggle with giving people things and doing things for people to be accepted, they often get intimidated by other people who have more resources, because the lie has tricked them into believing that other people are afflicted just like they are. So they think they're in a competition to be taken advantage of. But in some cases, it's not their imagination, because of the old saying, birds of a feather flock together. So a lot of people who are afflicted by trauma-based beliefs, they surround themselves and engage with others who are afflicted by similar trauma-based beliefs. So they may actually be around someone who struggles with this same lie. You have to compensate for your presence with goods and services, and they're both trying to win the approval or acceptance of manipulative people, because manipulators will take people who struggle with this lie, they will take them up on their offer to pay to be accepted. And they will charge the person who's afflicted by the lie by the minute. for some weak, meaningless validation. Because anytime you're paying someone to act like they care about you, it is not real. It is, they don't really care. They're just taking advantage of you. And what they're offering you is not real acceptance. It's not real approval. It's not real love. It's, you're being manipulated. But one thing about this belief, I want to make this point. This lie, when a person is afflicted by this trauma-based belief, it doesn't tell them who they have to compensate. It just says there's something wrong with you compared to others. You come up short, you're tainted, so you must pay people to put up with you for short increments of time. So this lie will make people vulnerable to manipulators, but this lie doesn't tell the afflicted individual who they have to compensate. So they will, this lie will also make them overextend themselves to individuals who don't want anything from them. It'll make them offer to pick up the check at the restaurant, offer to pay for the tickets to go into the movie, and offer to buy the popcorn and the pop. The lie is telling them you have to pay people for allowing you to exist in their presence. This trauma-based belief will make a person do that, whether it's a manipulator that's profiting off their issue or someone who doesn't really want anything from them. Someone who thinks, oh, you're just being nice, picking up the check, I'll pick it up next time. They don't understand that the person afflicted by this trauma-based belief may be offering to pick up the check at the restaurant with their light bill money, because this trauma-based belief puts so much pressure on them. It tells them you have to pay people for tolerating you. Why? Because the lie is also collaborating with the trauma-based belief that says there's something wrong with you. Therefore, you have to pay people for putting up with you. They had lunch with you. They could have been somewhere else with someone who's better than you. That's how trauma-based beliefs work. So this lie will also say you will accumulate a bill if you don't pay as you go. You can't pay later. So I have seen people who are afflicted by this lie, you know, because I won't let them, I can code in real time. I've been doing this 21 years. I can code people's unconscious belief system in real time. So I'm able to see people who struggle with feeling like they have to do things for people or give people things to be in their presence for short increments of time. I will tell them no, and I'll call it out. I say, you know, I can pay for my own meal. You don't have to do that. Or, you know, I tell you what, I pay for this meal, then you pay. I pay for this, our meal today, and the next time we go out, you pick up the check. You know, teaching them how to be in a reciprocal relationship. But I've seen people almost panic. Then I knew, and I would tell them why they feel that panic. The unconscious, your unconscious belief system is telling you that if you don't, you have to pay now because you have the money to pay for your existence, and you might not have the money to pay later. So you have to pay now. But the lie is lying to them. It's affecting their relationship with themselves. Other people are just like props, like props on the set, because the dialogue is going on in their mind. It's between them and the trauma-based belief. And so this lie will also tell the afflicted individual, there are no people in the world who will accept you for who you are. They won't accept you, so you have to pay. So I'm going to read some functional beliefs, healthier beliefs that challenge these trauma-based lies. So let's start with the lie, there is something wrong with you. And these are my cognitive restructuring cards. I'll talk about them shortly. But I'm going to read the functional belief that's on the back that challenges this trauma-based belief. There are some things wrong with all of us. Every person on this planet could use some improvement. We are all mixtures of weaknesses and strengths. You are not so awful. The way you were programmed to think was awful. There's something wrong with your thought pattern, not with you. Do not allow anyone, including yourself, to put you down and compare you to others. Accept yourself with all of your good traits and bad traits. Work on the things about yourself that you don't like and that are in your power to change. Accept the things about yourself that you cannot change and ask for help recognizing the difference. There are no perfect people on this planet. Stop looking at others' assets only. See yourself and other people holistically. We all have flaws. So now I'm going to read the functional belief that challenges the lie, compared to others, you come up short. This is this trauma-based belief. So now we're going to challenge it. It is ridiculous for me to compare myself to others, seeing how there is only one me. I am not in a competition to prove I am better than or less than other people. I will not allow anyone, including myself, to put me in a contest with others. There are qualities that I have that are unique to me, and no one else on the entire planet has them. There are some things about me I need to work on, but that is the case with everybody. No one is perfect, and I should not put that unrealistic expectation on myself. Self acceptance is a vital part of a happy life, and I need to start practicing it so I can become good at it. I will accept what I cannot change and change what I can. I am a mixed bag of weaknesses and strengths, just like the rest of humanity. So now I'm going to read the functional belief that challenges the trauma-based lie. You have to compensate for your presence with goods and services. We're getting ready to challenge this trauma-based belief. I will no longer pay for my right to exist. There is no meter running when I'm in the presence of others unless I bring one and turn it on. I will stop allowing my unconscious self concept to intimidate me into believing that I have to pay others for my existence. That's a pretty good trick, isn't it? To make someone pay a bill he or she does not owe simply by acting as if that person owes one, which means that I need to stop surrounding myself with individuals who use and manipulate people with low self esteem by acting as if those individuals are only tolerable when they're giving something or doing something. People who use individuals have issues that manifest outwardly as self seeking and manipulation. I don't owe people for existing, and I will start recognizing the clues I give to others that alerts them that I feel as if I have to pay to be accepted. I can be around people who enjoy me just for being me. So that's the end of episode 1 in my Facebook and YouTube live series entitled Healing from a Trauma-Based Belief System. And so if you would like more information about my work, I'm going to put the link in the comment section or with this particular video. I have the link to my website because I have a lot of material. You could actually purchase my cognitive restructuring cards. They come in a set of 100, the 100 most commonly seen unconscious victim lives or trauma-based beliefs, and a set of the 100 most commonly seen unconscious villain lies or trauma-based beliefs. Yes, there are villain-based beliefs that I called victim beliefs, and there are trauma-based beliefs under the umbrella of victim mode, and then there are beliefs under the umbrella of villain mode. And I'm not calling people victims or villains. I had to use some words to distinguish the two types of trauma-based beliefs. It's the beliefs that fit the mode, not people. And these books, my cards, cognitive restructuring card sets, are sold with this workbook. So you can purchase them on my store page on my website. You can also buy the card set with this workbook. My unaddressed issues make my budget and my schedule. Each one of these dysfunctional unconscious beliefs make demands on people's time and on their money. I have a master's in social work and a master's in business administration, and I quantify the impact. I also teach people how to reallocate their resources from obeying trauma-based beliefs to obey more functional beliefs. I also have a workbook entitled The Adult Reenactment of the Childhood Script that you can purchase on my website. This workbook and my other cognitive restructuring book that has 31 articles in it, they can be purchased on my website, and they're also available on Amazon. And I recently wrote my life story of healing, of surviving horrific childhood trauma, going through years of self-medicating the untreated trauma with drugs and alcohol, and then entering the recovery process and healing from a trauma-based belief system. And I talk about how I created my program, The Lies That Bind, that helps other people, and has won 2 awards. And so it's the name of my life story. And this is only available on Amazon. You can get it in ebook or paperback. And the name of it is What Was I Thinking? The Anneshia Freeman story. I will also be doing a 4-week to 6-week. I'm going to make a decision on how long it'll be. I'm either going to do a 4-week or 6-week workshop series based on the same title of this Facebook and YouTube live series. So I will have that information next week when I go live. I will have the registration, the information and registration page live on my website, where you can meet with me via Zoom once a week for 4 to 6 weeks. It'll probably be 6 weeks. And we will meet up. I think I'm going to do it on Thursday evenings. I'm trying to decide between Thursday and Saturday, but a lot of people don't want to give up their Saturday mornings in the summer. So we may do it Thursday evenings, where you will receive my workbook, the card set. I'll walk you through this workbook and the worksheets that are in here, but I'll also provide some other worksheets that are not available to the general public to help you heal from a trauma-based belief system. So that's all for episode 1. I feel free to join me next week, and also feel free to share this episode with others. Have a good rest of your day.